Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Thanks for coming here. This is who I am. I'm Alex, engineer at Verily. I'm from Canada. Let me say a quick word about what Verily does. At its core, we're building a platform on which theoretically anybody could bring any type of data that we map to FHIR. Once it's in FHIR, then we can run a bunch of standard processes. We can give you a little, federated development environment for you to develop ML models and so on and so forth. Basically, once it's FHIR, we can do a bunch of FHIR things. That's what Verily does. FHIR deals with healthcare data. Healthcare data is streaming. The world, the existence is streaming. So what happens is data changes, causes events, and then some of those events will cause requests to go out. And if you're familiar with workflows, you might understand that requests will tie back in and create more events that might create more requests. More importantly, who we are. We're a medium-sized company, maybe a few thousand people, and we're very cross-functional. And I like to say that although FHIR is a standard that we develop to have machines talk to each other, it's also the language through which people talk to each other, right? So executives might explain strategies that need to be then translated into FHIR. And once I create software, I'm going to use FHIR to let my testers know what they need to test. That being said, FHIR is complicated. Some parts of it require expertise. FHIR objects are often very big, and the relationship between FHIR objects can also be super complicated. Right, so JSON is like the raw form of FHIR, but it's often bulky and difficult to just like talk to each other through JSON. Let me real quick, right, just level set so that everybody knows what I'm talking about when I'm talking about our workflow. So a workflow will say, for example, when a patient exhibits these conditions and these observations, then I want you to create a task, and this task will get fulfilled by some fulfiller. So it's basically condition to task. That's what a workflow is. I think I saw an example of one yesterday where a doctor told a patient to go get some blood work done, to go get their vitals measured, to fill out a questionnaire, and once those three things are done, then they can come back and have a consultation with the doctor. So that's an example of a workflow. This one is even simpler. This one just says, when the patient comes into one of our programs, register them with this endpoint to create a patient in some other compartment. So this is like as simple as a workflow can get, and nevertheless, it requires an engineer to help a data scientist and a clinical informaticist to be able to do their job, right? The clinical informaticist is going to care about like maybe 3 lines in this whole file, and the rest is just technical stuff for the system to be able to handle it correctly. Now multiply that by 100. We have a program in which there might be 100 workflows, and 100 workflows is not a large program by any means. This is a representation of one of our diabetes programs, and it has, in very small numbers here, 283 nodes and 284 edges. And so trying to get a conceptual grasp on this entire thing is difficult. And we're not the, first people to try to represent workflows and other FHIR relationships through graphs. I think graphs lend themselves very naturally to FHIR. But here's what we did, right? So this is in blue here in the rectangles, you can see the 3 main resources that comprise that workflow that I showed earlier in JSON. You have a plan definition, a group, and an activity definition. Plan definition says, sort of groups these two things together. The group says who to apply it to, and the activity definition says what to do once those conditions have been met. And then on the edges, It's a little too small, but here you see definition, canonical, subject, action, the first action. So all of the edges define the references between these objects, and as you can see, different relationships can be modeled. And then at the top in pink, you have an instance of this plan definition. You have a care plan applied to a patient that represents this plan definition. So there was a few goals for us. There was a few goals for us at Verily that are also goals for this workflow visualization tool. We want to be FHIR first. And so we were a little bit annoyed by the fact that we had to go in another piece of software to create a workflow and then, import it into our system and translate it and so on and so forth, and then work on it in FHIR when we knew that FHIR was going to be the source of truth eventually. And so a visualization tool like that allows us to sort of like focus on FHIR and imagine a future where we can be just like purely FHIR and FHIR first. Most of all, building workflows and programs took a very, very long time. It took a lot of people a very long time. It was one of the costliest processes at the company. Right, so half a year with a bunch of people to create a program, and after the visualization tool and other tooling and processes and testing, et cetera, a single team, we reached our goal. A single team can create a smallish program in a couple of weeks. Some details. This is mostly for reference if you want to know the libraries that we used to build it for afterwards, right? So essentially all we did was put a shim between FHIR and these graphing libraries. And we built it in a very abstract way, which is to say, you can give it any bundle, and it'll represent the resources inside that bundle as nodes, like unconfigured, uncolored, whatever nodes. And then if you're interested in different kinds of references, then you can just append to whatever the list of reference functions that we have, and it'll identify those references and add edges to your graph. So it's very extensible. Theoretically, you could give me any one of your bundles, and then the graph tool would show something on the screen, which gives us another interesting problem, which is, when you can do everything, you're actually doing nothing. And so, how do we want to specialize this tool? In which cases do we want to specialize this tool? How do we want to make it configurable? It introduces an interesting problem. Another thing that we found from the beginning that became very useful, a feature that we had not planned for, is this visibility toggle. Because when you throw a graph on screen, I threw the other graph on the screen, but imagine maybe a larger graph. And maybe you don't care about the definitional resources, you only care about the instances, and so you want to turn off the definitional resources, relay out, and then you have a view that's much easier that's much more suited to the focus that you might want to have. So turning off edges and nodes is something that we found that we needed like the week after we built it, and that we're going to keep investing in, because there's depending on the question that you want answered from your graph, you're going to want to see different things on your graph. We are data lakehouse, warehouse architectures, right? We have like a bronze, silver, gold layer, and we want to connect to each of those layers through the same tool. So that's something that we built in. Most interestingly, it can take in JSON. So if you're working on building a workflow, you're editing JSON, before you store it in your database, it's very useful to be able to see it. And so we built that in. And then, again, when we first built it, we saw this is nice, you can see the things, but right away what we found ourselves needing to go into the little web inspector and developer tools to grab the ID of the resources we were graphing, and then going back to our storage solution to be able to to be able to look at it. And so eventually we built a little feature so that you could click on a node and then you see the JSON underneath. And since we shipped this in production environment, that little widget came with a detailed roles and permissions model, such that whoever you are, you can only see the data that you're allowed to see. It's been very useful. We have a lot of ideas on what to do with it in the future. Most importantly, when you build a tool like this, it's most useful to be able to connect it to other tools that you have. So if we have a whole set of tools to allow our developers and authors to test their workflows, we want it to connect. We don't want you to have to switch between tabs to be able to do that. And then very naturally, you want to, if your test fails, you're going to want to edit your workflow. And so we would like you to be able to edit the JSON in the tool itself and then run the test again and so on and so forth, so that you can, eventually come to something that you think is good enough, and you're going to merge it to main and then move forward from there. A little bit more on this, expand and collapse nodes or groups of nodes. That's it comes from the idea that we had before, where like you can turn edges and nodes on and off, and that makes you be able to focus on the thing you want to focus on. Most, I think, importantly, is the problem of being able to get an idea of an entire program. How do you visualize 100 workflows inside a program, and then be able to click in and like start to see the detail of everything that you want to see. I think this is an interesting UX problem. The engineering solutions is fairly straightforward, but it's unclear how we're going to want to render that. All the way down to a questionnaire that you might want to edit, right? Like all the way. And then another thing that comes up that I'm sure you would tell me if you would use this tool the first time is that there's a question that you want to very naturally ask that the tool cannot answer. Something that happens all the time. If, for example, an engineer is trying to root cause a bug that was filed against their system or whatever, someone is going to say, some tester is going to say, this content did not appear on the app. This questionnaire didn't appear. It looks like your workflow is broken. It goes in, and then they think that it's not this care plan that was broken, but it was the previous one that was broken, and so the next thing didn't happen. But it's impossible to go from like one care plan to a patient to the previous care plan in the tool currently. It's not clear how you would even do it. But that's something that obviously we want to start working on, to go from one care plan to a patient to another care plan. Which comes to this, maybe blue sky idea that since this thing can show any bundle, then a graph definition could be how you configure it. So you have a use case. You don't care about care plans and plan definitions. You care about patients and all of their conditions, for example. That's a graph. Well, theoretically, you could just craft a conditional graph definition, run this search, throw this bundle at the graph tool, and you could see whatever you want to see. But that's it. Thank you very much. That's my little visualization tool. That's my contact. I think I was a little fast, so there's a lot of time for questions.
I think you did great.
All right.
It's 1 minute early, but indeed, thank you. Are there any questions from the room already? No questions yet? Oh, yeah, there.
Thank you. This looks really good. I came in a little bit late, and so I may have missed this, but is this an open source tool that can be used already, or?
Not yet. We open sourced our first piece of FHIR software last year, our FHIR Path implementation in Go. This year we have 2 new open source implementations, so we're 2x to the number of open source things that we did this year. This one is probably next in some shape or form. But I'll take that back, yeah, as like an input for how much of a priority we want to make this.
Okay, and then like a follow-up. Have you looked at whether or not you could take the output of this and render it as a narrative like capture it and render it as the narrative of a resource or a bundle within an implementation guide? Anything in that space? Like this would be really useful for, seeing content as part of a specification, and I wonder if you've thought about that aspect of it.
I have not thought about it at all, but that would require us somehow, modifying the implementation guide rendering software.
We have to plug it into the publisher.
Right. Right. Is that something people do? Not really. We could fork it.
I would prefer to put it in the master.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could do that.
Sounds very enthusiastic.
It'd be super useful is the thing, so, yeah.
I don't have a question, but I really want to encourage this kind of thinking because as someone who thinks in diagrams much more easily than in code, the obsession of FHIR with code for everything just puts impedance in the way. But the more visualization we can get, the better, please.
Thank you.
Any more questions from the room? I had one question myself. How long do you think before your product will be ready to be applied within hospitals?
I think we already run some stuff in hospitals. We have some hospital deals. You're kind of asking me to talk about business stuff, which actually I won't do.
I get that. Just curious. I am quickly checking the Q&A. Hang on. But there are no more questions in there as well. So I think that's it for today, if there are no more questions from the room. So in that case, I want to thank you very much, Alex, for giving your session. I think a big round of applause is in place.
Thank you.